3 top dividend growth ETFs that all pay dividends monthly and have a ton of growth potential on top of it. Which 3 are my favorite as of right now? Stay tuned to find out. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the market. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. So the first monthly paying dividend ETF that has growth potential, pays dividend monthly, and is one of my favorites as of right now. I own tons of shares of this one. It's ticker symbol DIVO or DIVO, the Amplify CWP Enhanced Dividend Income ETF. Now, DIVO in a nutshell basically buys a small basket of holdings and also utilizes an option cover call overlay on individual stocks to generate a ton of income for investors. Now this, like I said, not only generates more income in the form of dividends, but also right here it says seeks to lower volatility. So during times of the market turns sour, DIVO definitely has some downside protection because of that cover call overlay. Now, because of that cover call overlay, DIVO is not necessarily a rocket ship in the form of growth, but this ETF has consistently moved up and to the right at a slow and steady pace over time, all along while reducing volatility in your portfolio. DIVO is up around 53%, and this is since around 2016. DIVO has an expense ratio of 0.56%, which is a little bit on the expensive side, but this is because the cover call overlay can be management intensive. But with DIVO, you are getting exposure to some of my favorite companies across the entire market. We're talking things like United Health Group, we got Microsoft, Caterpillar, Walmart, Visa, the Home Depot, Procter & Gamble, and the Goldman Sachs. All in all, around 46 different positions, so DIVO does have a smaller basket of holdings, but with that cover call overlay, you're still overly diversified if you ask me. Now, even though DIVO does have exposure to some of those names that we just went through that don't necessarily offer a massive dividend yield, because of that cover call overlay, DIVO is able to offer investors around a 4.5% starting yield, which is much higher than that you would get with other ETFs that are exposed to those same names. Now, every single month, more or less, DIVO pays around 14 or 15 cents and has been paying dividends to investors for years. DIVO has been great in my portfolio. I've held onto it for years. It's not necessarily the most popular dividend income focused ETF, but definitely check it out if you haven't already. My next favorite ETF that pays dividends monthly and also has growth potential and is on the top of my buy list as of recently is ticker symbol DGRW, or the Wisdom Tree US Quality Dividend Growth Fund. Now, DGRW compared to DIVO definitely has much more growth characteristics, and this is because this ETF does not have a cover call overlay. What's cool about this ETF though is that you're exposed to names like Microsoft, Apple, abbvie, a lot of these mega companies that pay dividends quarterly, even though the trailing 12 month is only 1.68%. Because of how well this thing has performed as of recently, it still is a decent amount of cash flow, and as you can see over time, the dividends have been going up and to the right. Now, as far as DGRW's holding breakdown, I'm a huge fan of how these sectors are sort of broken apart. I like the fact that technology is the majority of this ETF, although it's not the entire ETF. Then we have a ton of healthcare, industrials, and a ton of names in the top 5 holdings that I'm a huge fan of, and not for a second would I mind having even more exposure to. All in all, ticker symbol DGRW, the Wisdom Tree US Quality Dividend Growth Fund ETF, is one of my favorites, and after I build out my position of SCHD, this one is definitely going to be in my portfolio in most likely large numbers. The last ETF that I'm a huge fan of that pays dividends monthly but also has upside potential as far as growth and is also on my buying list is ticker symbol JEPQ, or the JP Morgan Nasdaq Premium Income ETF. Now, at this point, most of us dividend more income focused investors are very familiar with JEPQ. And this more income focused ETF has shocked the dividend community over the last year or so, considering even with the cover call overlay, because of the holding breakdown, JEPQ is up 16% over the 1 year. And that's not even including the massive dividend this ETF pays. The ETF is mostly exposed to technology at almost 50%, which definitely helps with the upside potential this ETF has. But along with that 16% or so return as far as ETF price, JEPQ also has a 9.4% trailing 12-month dividend yield. Not to mention the last few dividends that JEPQ paid were substantially larger than the previous. Now, of course, I wouldn't consider JEPQ or DIVO necessarily growth ETFs, considering income is literally in their name. But although over the last year, JEPQ's performance, just as far as price return, has outperformed many other growth ETFs across the entire market. All in all, if you're looking for a monthly payer that pays a juicy dividend every single month and also has upside potential, JEPQ should definitely be added to your list. So there we have it, 3 different dividend ETFs that all pay dividends monthly and also on top of that have upside potential. Now DVO, DGRW, and JEPQ have all been on my shopping list on a weekly basis for a while now, although I have to be honest, out of those 3, I've been grabbing the most shares of DVO over the last few months. But more importantly, I want to hear from you guys down below. If I were to ask you which is your favorite out of DVO, JEPQ, and DGRW, which monthly paying dividend ETF would it be and why? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.